Мы вновь и вновь вынуждены давать отпор агрессии коллективного Запада.
Putin and the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia have more in common than you might think. But recently, ties have deepened, and this is not great news for the West. What does Putin want with Saudi Arabia, and what does this mean for both OPEC nations and Western powers? Join us as we discuss Putin's plan with Saudi Arabia and the consequences for the Arab nation. Both Putin and the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, are known to have great influence over energy markets, to have sparked conflicts in nearby nations, to tolerate no dissent, and to be ambitious about making their mark in history. The relationship between Riyadh and Moscow is currently at an all-time high, right in the midst of the conflict with Ukraine. While much of Europe, the US and the UK step up their efforts to fend off a Russian leader who is growing more ominous by the day, Prince Mohammed has opted to consolidate ties with Putin. What does Putin stand to gain from this relationship, and how will this alliance shape the world? One thing to note is that Putin's interest in Saudi Arabia stand in stark contrast to the influence of the United States in the region, and Mohammed bin Salman seems to be more interested in easing the economic sanctions placed on Putin's Russia at a pivotal point in the war. Both Russia and Saudi Arabia attempted to increase oil prices by reducing the world supply by 1 to 2 million barrels a day. This move comes right after Europe's gas supply barely hangs by a thread in the hands of the Russian leader. It also alienates Washington, a partner that has attempted to persuade Riyadh to join the cause of lowering supply pressures by opening valves to its vast reservoirs. Just weeks before November midterm elections, when inflation and fuel costs were anticipated to influence voter decisions, OPEC's decision sparked a stunning public criticism from the White House. According to Biden, there will be some repercussions for what they did. In a harsh statement, the president's top economic and security advisors denounced the decision's lack of foresight and signaled they might try to hasten the approval of a bill, the No Oil Producing and Exporting Cartels Act, also known as NOPEC, which could revoke the immunity of OPEC member states' immunity from U.S. antitrust lawsuits. But the situation has grown so severe that the Biden administration has ended talk of retaliation against the Persian Gulf Kingdom, highlighting the two countries' long-standing security ties and Riyadh's actions to support Washington's priorities in Yemen and Ukraine. As a result of the decision of OPEC to limit oil production in October, U.S. Congress is beginning to take steps to limit future defense cooperation for the Arab nation. The turnaround highlights the lack of acceptable options open to American policymakers as competition with Russia and China escalates in the Middle East and beyond. OPEC Plus, which Saudi Arabia chairs to reduce output by 2 million barrels per day, will have a long-lasting detrimental effect on relations between the United States and the country. But to be clear, Saudi Arabia continues to be crucial for the Middle East energy security and stability, for world economic growth, and as a regional ally against Iran. But it made a catastrophic error. Few people are aware of the extent of U.S. military cooperation with the Saudi government. Saudi Arabia currently buys the great majority of its weapons from the United States, making it extremely dependent on American defense aid. So unless the nation wants to collaborate with Russia, Iran, or China for drastically inferior systems that are incompatible with its current arsenal, it cannot swap military providers. As you might have guessed, this provides the United States tremendous economic and security clout over the Arab nation. Even more crucial than Saudi Arabia's reliance on American weapons is its reliance on American corporations to support the development of the domestic defense sector through high-value joint ventures. These delicate and complex treaties, which have garnered little public attention, were mostly started in 2017 and have given Saudi Arabia authority over vital American technology and American jobs. No other ally of the United States has agreements of this scope. Saudi Arabia has limited options for responding to this proposed legislation other than returning to the negotiating table and engaging in sincere negotiations with the United States because of the early stages of these joint ventures and the limited interoperability between Saudi Arabia's current weaponry and potential foreign replacements. Moreover, the Pentagon's military presence in Saudi Arabia is a key component of its strategy to confront Iran, so it is crucial for the US. This includes air defense systems and safeguarding the 70,000 Americans currently residing and working in the kingdom. The OPEC Plus statement had an impact on the relationship itself. An official speaking on the condition of anonymity revealed that the move sparked internal debates, even though the anticipated jump in global oil prices did not materialize. Nonetheless, this relationship is significant, but when you consider the actual cooperation between the US and Saudi Arabia, it also serves US interests. But the administration's response has undergone a significant change, which highlights how important the kingdom is to the United States. So due to the Arab nation's enormous oil reserves and its widespread influence throughout the Muslim world, and its position as a key regional counterweight to the United States' adversary Iran, the administration continues to face pressure from allies who point to the OPEC decision as a reason to doubt the country's loyalty as an ally. Let's not even get started with the actions of its de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who the US government believes was responsible for the murder of Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi. According to the State Department, Mohammed bin Salman, who was the head of state at the moment, is immune from the lawsuit brought by Khashoggi's fiancée and a human rights organization the journalist founded. Officials support Saudi Arabia's effort to influence the Yemen war towards a peace agreement, which the monarchy and its Gulf allies started in 2015. They also present its efforts to mediate a prisoner exchange between Kiev and Moscow, despite tensions and its promise to contribute $400 million in humanitarian relief to Ukraine. The heir to the Saudi kingdom is making a comeback on a worldwide scale after the murder of the Saudi writer and dissident Jamal Khashoggi in Istanbul by his security agents some years ago. One of the objectives of the Crown Prince is to establish the kingdom as a regional power and a major player in the world. Putin's invasion has not been denounced by Saudi officials, and neither has Saudi Arabia's 5-year invasion of Yemen, which has left its neighbor destitute and in desperate need of significant aid. Putin's recommitment to blood and soil nationalism and an effort to recapture the lost glory of the Soviet Union doesn't appear to bother Prince Mohammed. In reality, there have been many indications that he wants to imitate the seasoned Russian despot with his own brand of nationalism. In 2016, the 30-year-old Prince Mohammed summoned senior MI6 officials and British diplomats to Riyadh while he was still the Deputy Defense Minister. The meeting's sole objective was to get advice from the UK on how to handle Putin. Since then, Prince Mohammed has developed an admiration for the figure he once studied. His repression of opposition bears striking similarities to that of the Russian leader, as does the emerging Saudi police state, which is based on Arab nationalist principles and guaranteed by suppressing dissent, enlisting the aid of oligarchs, and solidifying a base of power. But currently, markets are extremely competitive, with Saudi Arabia enjoying generous profit margins of 73%. In other words, unless Saudi Arabia was actively attempting to harm the United States in order to help Russia, there was no imminent necessity for them to limit supplies. Except for Russia, which is OPEC's least productive producer, every member of the organization has recently enjoyed enormous gains. That's because oil extraction in Russia cost $46 per barrel, but thanks to American technology, Saudi Arabia only pays $22 per barrel. Besides, since few other countries want Russian oil, which has been sanctioned, only Russia has had to offer enormous $35 per barrel discounts to clients like India and China. In fact, China is currently the kingdom's largest consumer. The effort to obstruct Prince Mohammed was spearheaded by Biden. You can imagine the grin of the Crown Prince seeing the leader of the world's largest economy visiting Jeddah, cap in hand, and returning empty-handed. The spike in oil prices may be more significant for the US president because it could be that this is how they contribute to Putin's military campaign. But experts say it would take decades to switch from, say, US and UK aircraft to Russian or Chinese aircraft. The same is true for communication systems, tanks, and other high-tech tools. How do you think Putin's ties with bin Salman will impact the US economy? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on the world around us. Stay tuned.